1970s were loud, flashy, and unapologetically bold, and the cars looked like it too. This was the decade when design departments were let loose, and what rolled out of Detroit was big, bold, and sometimes straight-up bizarre in the best way. Long hoods, wild grills, sharp edges, and curves that looked like they belonged in a car show, not a grocery store parking lot. Whether you were into low-slung cruisers or squared-off muscle luxury mashups, the 70s had something for every taste, and they looked fantastic doing it. So in this video, we'll count down the 10 most beautiful American cars of the 70s, each one picked for its unique design, bold personality, and unforgettable presence on the road. 10. 1970 Cadillac Eldorado. The 1970 Cadillac Eldorado had a design that didn't try to blend in. It had sharp edges, flat surfaces, and a front end that looked like it belonged on a luxury battleship. This was Cadillac's personal luxury coupe, but it wasn't just about looks. It came with front-wheel drive, something you almost never saw in a car this size. That layout, combined with a massive 500 cubic inch V8, the largest production engine of its time, meant it could move all 5,000 pounds with ease. The styling leaned heavily on straight lines, squared-off corners, and clean angles. The hidden headlights sat flush with the grille, giving the front a seamless, modern look. The chrome wraparound bumpers looked more like sculpted metal than trim. Cadillac wanted this car to look confident from every angle, and it worked. This Eldorado set the tone for Cadillac's bold design language throughout the 1970s. But while the Eldorado stuck to precision and straight lines, the next car took a big curve, literally, and stirred up one of the most debated designs of the decade. 9. 1971 Buick Riviera, boat tail. The 1971 Buick Riviera came in hot with a design that made jaws drop. Inspired by classic boat-tail speedsters of the 1930s and even Italian coach builders, this Riviera broke from every design convention of the day. The rear window formed a pointed V shape, framed by bulging rear fenders that curved in toward the back bumper, giving the car a fastback look like nothing else on the road. At 218 inches long, the Riviera wasn't small, but it wore its size like a sculpture with a sweeping hood, flared arches, and a bold, upright grille with chrome vertical slats. Buick pushed it hard as a personal luxury car with flair. Initial reactions were mixed, but over time, collectors came to admire the boat tail's daring. Production only lasted until 1973 before Buick softened the look again, making the 1971 to 1973 models rare and increasingly sought after. Coming up is the biggest luxury coupe of its era. It was long, low, and perfect for anyone who wanted to look like they owned a TV network. 8. 1977 Lincoln Continental Mark V. The 1977 Lincoln Continental Mark V was never subtle, and that was exactly the point. At over 230 inches long, this was the biggest two-door coupe sold in America that year. Lincoln's design team didn't try to hide the size, they used it as a canvas. Sharp creases replaced the rounder fuselage lines of earlier models, giving it a boxy, formal look that matched the tone of late 70s luxury. The hood stretched seemingly forever while the rear deck could host a small barbecue. It came with hidden headlights, bright chrome detailing, a Rolls-Royce-style grille, and opera windows built into the C-pillars, all part of the Mark V's commitment to looking expensive. The Mark V was built for attention, not speed, and it sold like crazy, nearly 230,000 units in 1977 alone. But while Lincoln went big with sharp edges and formal lines, this next brand took a different approach, fusing muscle heritage with cinematic street presence. 7. 1974 Dodge Monaco. The 1974 Dodge Monaco wasn't built to be flashy. It was built to be everywhere. Police fleets, city highways, and later movie history. Sitting on Chrysler's full-size C-body platform, the Monaco featured what the company called fuselage styling, which gave it rounded sides and a clean, uniform profile that looked almost aircraft-inspired. The car had presence, a massive 221-inch body, a flat front fascia, and a squared-off rear end. The grille was wide and imposing, bookended by hidden headlamps that popped up when switched on. It looked stern, official, and ready to chase you down. and it absolutely exploded into pop culture after 1980. When the Blues Brothers picked the 1974 Monaco as their ex-police Bluesmobile, it gave the car a second life. And for many people, this is what a 70s police car looked like: square-jawed, heavy-duty, and unstoppable. Next up is a car that didn't need sirens or movie scenes to stand out. It just pulled into the driveway, silent, smooth, and way too clean to be a cop car. 6. 1975 Chevrolet Caprice Classic Coupe. The 1975 Caprice Classic Coupe had a look that felt expensive without trying too hard. Chevrolet redesigned the Caprice line in the early 70s to better compete with full-size offerings from Ford and Chrysler. It had a long, low stance with a graceful roofline that swept into the rear deck without a single harsh edge. Frameless glass in the doors gave it a pillarless look when the windows were down, which made it feel even wider and more open. It was sleek, but in a quiet, grown-up way. It came standard with a 350 V8, but you could also option up to a 454 if you wanted extra pull. Chevy sold these in huge numbers, especially to suburban families who wanted a car that looked nice without making a scene. But while Chevrolet played it safe with smooth lines and mass appeal, AMC was swinging for the fences with something way more aggressive, and doing it without a massive budget. 5. 1970 AMC AMX Javelin ST. The 1970 AMC Javelin ST wasn't made to blend in. It came from a company that didn't have the size or resources of the big three, but AMC made up for that with bold styling and attitude. The Javelin's long hood and short rear deck gave it the muscle car proportions people expected, but the details made it stand out. The front end featured a split grille design with aggressive inset headlights, while the sides followed a deep Coke bottle curve that gave it an athletic stance. Under the hood, buyers had options ranging from a 304 V8 to a 390 cubic inch monster pushing up to 325 horsepower. AMC didn't dominate sales charts, but the Javelin found fans who wanted muscle car performance with less badge snobbery. Speaking of bold shapes, the next car had a body that split opinion right down the middle, and a rear end that still sparks debate 50 years later. 4. 1973 Pontiac Grand Prix SJ. By 1973, Pontiac had carved out a very specific identity for the Grand Prix: classy but not soft. The SJ version leaned even harder into that blend of sharp styling and confident attitude. Riding on GM's A-body colonnade platform, the 73 Grand Prix kept the signature long hood, short deck look, but added more curves and bulk thanks to new federal crash regulations. What really set the SJ apart was how it walked the line between elegance and aggression. The interior had thick, plush carpeting and wood-trimmed dash panels, but under the hood, you could option a 455 cubic inch V8 with 250 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque. Not exactly a drag racer, but more than enough to push around its 4,300 pound body with authority. This next car came from the same decade but a different design mindset, one where Jet H flair gave way to formal styling and something Ford hadn't tried before in this segment. 3. 1970 Ford Thunderbird Landau Coupe. After years of making Thunderbirds that looked like fighter jets with chrome, Ford decided to go big with the 1970 Thunderbird. The Thunderbird shared its platform with the Lincoln Continental, which meant suicide rear doors on the 4-door variant, but the 2-door Landau Coupe had its own presence. It featured hidden headlights inside a wide, horizontal grille, and a thick C-pillar with Landau bars that screamed high-end formality. The vinyl roof was standard on most trims and stretched over a squared-off profile with subtle, straight lines replacing the old curves. A 429 cubic inch V8 came standard, giving it around 360 horsepower. Inside, it came with deep bucket seats, a center console, and high-end finishes, all focused on comfort. This styling shift signaled Ford's move into the personal luxury space, which the Thunderbird would chase for the rest of the decade. With Ford making their car to look refined, Chrysler went for flair, and they found an actor to sell it with more drama than the car itself ever needed. 2. 1978 Chrysler Cordoba. The Chrysler Cordoba made a name for itself not because it was groundbreaking, but because it was memorable. Launched in 1975, it was aimed at buyers who wanted luxury looks without full-size prices. The Cordoba had a wide stance, a broad egg crate grille, and twin rectangular headlamps framed in chrome. Its fenders flared just enough to look dramatic, and the roofline dipped smoothly into a crisp rear deck. For many drivers in the late 70s, it looked more expensive than it was. But the biggest reason people remember the Cordoba? Ricardo Montalban. The actor fronted a national ad campaign where he lovingly described its rich Corinthian leather, a phrase that had zero real meaning but sounded incredibly luxurious. Because of this, Chrysler sold over 140,000 of them in '78 alone. And now we wrap things up with a car that looked like it time-traveled straight out of a sci-fi movie and ended up on a NASCAR track instead. 1. 1974 AMC Matador Coupe. The 1974 AMC Matador Coupe didn't follow anyone's design rules. It looked like something that rolled off a concept car stage, but AMC actually put it on the streets. Designed by Dick Teague, the coupe ditched the boxy look of its four-door sibling and went with a long nose, wide fenders, and a sloping fastback rear wrapped in curved glass. The taillights were tucked beneath a lip spoiler, and the whole body had a wind tunnel slicked feel, sharp in the front, smooth in the back. This wasn't accidental styling. AMC specifically shaped the coupe for better aerodynamics to compete in NASCAR. It stood out in every parking lot, but public reaction was split. Some loved the daring shape, others didn't get it. AMC sold around 100,000 Matador coupes between '74 and '78, which wasn't bad for a company working on a tight budget. And that wraps up the wildest decade of American car design. So, which of these '70s beauties would you love to take for a spin? Would you cruise the boulevard in a Riviera or roll up to the party in a Matador? Drop your favorite in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the ride, and don't forget to subscribe for more classic car spotlights. Until next time, keep it cool and keep it classic.